My name is Misty Hendrix, and the title is Dancing in the Puddles. So, my name is Misty Hendrix, and I've been married for 21 years. I have 4 children. I have 3 daughters and a son. I'm a licensed practical nurse, and I guess I've always had a desire to help others. Since I was a little girl, I helped my grandmother, and because of this, I became a nurse because I love the elderly. And I always thought that being a nurse is just who I was. In February of 2018, I lost my beautiful daughter, who was 9. Her name was Kaylee. I have struggled since losing Kaylee on a lot of things because a loss like this makes you question everything in your life. And as fitting as today is, it's been raining here in South Carolina for the last 4 days. So today, I want to talk about puddles and how our grief is much like a puddle. Have you ever been driving along and hit a puddle in the road? What happened when your tire hit the water? The contents of the puddle splashed about, and what was left settled back in the puddle. By definition of what a puddle is, according to Webster Dictionary, entry 1 of 2, a very small pool of usually dirty or muddy water. Entry 2, an earthy mixture as of clay, sand, and gravel, worked while wet into a compact mass that becomes impervious to water when dry. So let's talk about this puddle. So we're traveling along the road called life, living what we think is the best life or striving for what we want our life to be. And one day, life as we have known it suddenly comes to a halt. In an instant, life changes. We experience something unimaginable. We lose our child. We are the car that just hit that puddle. Our grief is the puddle. In the immediate moment of hitting the puddle, the contents, in our case, the raw emotions, anger, pain, regrets, sadness, all combined with the tears, splash out of the puddle. This is the immediate loss of a child, and for some of us, this could be right now. For others, it may be a few months. For others, a few years. No one has the answer for what is right or wrong on your personal journey of grief or your own puddle. I want to take a moment to talk about the puddle itself and what happens to the puddle. Wikipedia says a puddle is a small accumulation of liquid, usually water, on a surface. It can form either by pooling in a depression of the surface or the surface tension upon a flat surface. So, a surface that has a depression or a dip, in it that becomes full of water. My definition of a puddle is a hole in the ground filled with muddy water. Can we relate to this puddle? Our hearts have been stomped on, ran over, and now it has a hole in it. Our emotions are raw and tender. What happens to that puddle? That puddle is a muddy mess. A muddy mess. Do you sometimes feel like a mess with your own emotions? As that puddle dries up, what happens? That mud becomes hard. That mud, that dirt, those emotions in your heart, they can become hard. At times, have you felt like your heart has become hard like that mud? In days when it rains, what happens to that puddle? The days that it rains, all those emotions come welling back up, and the puddle becomes saturated again. This journey is messy. It is messy with all the emotions that we face along the way. You have to learn how to dance in the puddles. Bear with me as I break apart the word puddles. P. P is pain, that is you, utterly. D for deep, and D for dark. Choosing to L, learn how to E, embrace those feelings to survive. That's S. So a puddle is pain that is utterly deep and dark. And we choose to learn how to embrace those feelings to survive. As a parent who has lost a child, we have two worlds. The one we lived in before and the one that we now have to live. We have no choice. The fact's that our child is gone, but we can choose how we decide to deal with it. I now choose to live. I spent all of 2018 dwelling on my loss. I lived 2019 determined to survive, and I have made great progress. 2020 started off to what I thought was going to be a great year, and then bam, pandemic. All the twists and the turns and the unknowns, the isolation, the not being able to be in groups and staying away from normal gatherings took a toll on me mentally and physically. And as I prepared my notes to share with you today, it reminded me of 2019 when I originally started planning this discussion, that I still have a choice. I can choose to live. I can choose to make the best of my muddy mess. I can choose to share my story to help others. I can choose to live out the dreams my daughter had. I can choose to be kind. I can choose to find some joy and not feel guilty. I am now choosing to live. Some days are harder than others, but I know my Kaylee would want me to live. So I choose to live for her. I choose to dance in this muddy puddle. I have to choose to live and to make the best of my puddle. The puddle of our grief is always in the road on this journey, and now we're living it. How do you choose to deal with it? It's a personal choice, and you are the only one that can choose to embrace the pain and emotions to survive. I have no answers. I can only tell you what I found to help me. And I found to find someone that will listen, that will share my tears, someone that will share my pain, someone that will just be there to listen. I have had to choose to rely on my faith. That is honestly what helps to get me through it. And the pastor told me once, he said, time doesn't change things. It's what you do during that time that enables you to live. And reflecting on that, just like our puddle, today may be the day that you have to choose. You have to choose how you want to deal with your puddle of grief. Because I've been there. I've been there to where I didn't want to get out of my bed. I've been there to where the pain was debilitating. I've been there to where I thought that turning to alcohol or something else would numb the pain, and it didn't. I'm sharing all of these things with you for you to recognize the puddle that you're in, for you to find the way that you can get the help you need, whether it's through a counseling group, whether it's through a group like like heartstrings where us mothers can come together, whether it's finding someone that can be your sounding board, because whether we like it or not, we're in a puddle. And how we choose to deal with our puddle is up to you. I thank you for your time, and I really thank you for just being brave enough to participate in our virtual retreat. And I just thank you for listening. And if there's something that I can do to help you, then I'm here. Just let me know. Thank you, and I hope you have a good day.